AFL Fantasy is finally open for 2026. So this means we're doing a team reveal. Let's go!
Hodge has done it from nowhere. Forced it to goal from inside the centre. Sheed from the boundary. Dusty. Oh, yes! You're a magician.
Petrarca. The legend becomes immortal.
G'day and welcome to the Ball Boys AFL Fantasy Podcast. I'm your host, Mitch Casey, and you can find me on X at Ball Boys Fantasy. And I'm with one excited man who, needed the game to be open. You know, he was spending too long with his family. You know, no work, no fantasy to do. So he's glad the game's open. Luke Rogerson, how are you?
I'm good, mate. I desperately needed that game opening. But it was a little bit disparaging because I went in to sign up. Because isn't the old rule that, you know, if there's a tiebreak or something, it's first to sign up?
Yeah, you've got to be quick. Yeah, that's I think that's still one of the, but it's like further back now. There's a few other things before it. But you still have the urgency to get in there, don't you?
I was urgent. I got in there, and it obviously pre-fills what your previous team name was from the end of last year. And obviously I had the Ox shits in there, just given the way the season ended. And went to just go, fuck it, let's get in, hit submit. You cannot use that team name.
Oh.
So
they banned you.
Profanities,
Oh,
apparently.
no.
So Warnie's been spruiking this great upgrade, but I'm not a fan of this feature, Warnie. I want to be able to swear in my team name.
Well, it's a strategy. Yeah, you're disadvantaged now because
it's the equivalent of Roy's Rocket. It's disgrace the boys with the shit team name
exactly,
and just hopefully get them up and about.
Yeah,
but I'll tell you this as
bit
well.
Of a tool in the toolbox there.
I was excited for the game to open, but I don't know how you went. When I went to put my team together for this team reveal video, I'm actually feeling less excited now after putting my team together. Because
actually, hold on.
I'm a couple of themes I want to talk about here is I'm getting the feeling that perhaps we're going to have a lot of very, very vanilla teams just due to the large number of teams on the bye. But the other thing was there's some lines where I couldn't even fucking pick a player.
100%. Yeah, I think this is just early on, and maybe there's going to be some more things that open up as the preseason goes along. I think this is probably the toughest year I've had to make a team in terms of, like, there's not that many players that I actually want to pick. There's a lot of players that I'm thinking, I like him, but this. I like this player, but he's got a bye. I've got this player, but the team isn't playing good fantasy footy at the moment. So usually there's I start with a lot of players that I'm like, I could see myself starting, and I kind of whittle my way down. Similar sort of
you got to whittle up.
I've got to kind of fill it out somehow. I don't know I think that might be a shared opinion, and I do think the fact that we have 10 teams on a bye is a massive reason why it's going to be, I think, harder to form a starting team that we are a fan of. And yeah, I think we're going to have some very vanilla teams, some very vanilla premiums, and some of those popular mid prices, which could be a good thing or a bad thing. We'll have to wait and see. But hopefully there's some more options that reveal themselves in the preseason. I think opening round, because there's 10 teams on there, a lot can change after that week. Those scores come out, and you do your best to try and stay away from them, but you start a Sam Taylor with all best intentions, and who knows what's going to happen. So,
and you end up as the Ox shits.
Absolutely.
This would be a good video, because I think this is going to show we haven't chatted with each other.
No,
prior
you
to this
came over
point.
and,
I came over and saw what you're up to a little bit. But
I've changed it since then. I've changed a player.
So it's going to be interesting to see how kind of vanilla our teams end up being.
Yes.
And the other thing is, as we work through the lines, we'll talk about some of the justification for picking some of the players and even some of the difficulties that we're having on each line. So it'll be a good video, I think.
Yeah. So it's our first team. Now, it's obviously a little bit later in the preseason that this is our first team. But, obviously a lot can change between now and then. But let's head over to the brand spanking new AFL Fantasy website here.
Here we go.
Look at the freshness on this one.
I'm holding you to every pick today as well, so don't.
Right.
There's no get out of jail free card here, mate.
This is locked in.
I want to see Drapes in this side too.
January 22. Hey, he was definitely in contention with that forward line. But we're going to start, as we always do, in the back line. I'll go through my team, and then you'll tell me where your team differs. But starting here, and I did a little prediction on Twitter. I reckon the defense is going to be probably the most vanilla line. Probably also the midfield at the top as well. But I think a very vanilla player is going to be Connor Rosie. He's there at D1. Like, it's the no buy factor. It's the early draw factor. He's the only premium defender, really, that doesn't have an early buy. Some people might be liking the idea of a Christian Salem as an alternative, or maybe they've got him there as well. I don't. But, yeah, I think he's a pretty vanilla pick. The next guy I've got here, again, I think, like, all these picks are going to be pretty vanilla, but I've got Colby McKercher, who, if I find him, he's there at D2. I'm hoping I've sorted these out by price properly.
Oh, you're not one of those sickos, are you?
Now I'll have to have him in price order. He's trading a little bit in the mids. I'm not worried yet. Remember, at this stage of the year, Luke, there's two midfielders, two midfields out there. They've got to fill 4 players on each team. So just because he's training in the mids in the preseason, I don't think he's guaranteed to play midfield or forward or anything like that. But we will obviously keep an eye on that role.
Good math from you, mate. Is there any world where Lachie Whitfield would sneak in as your D1?
I think it's unlikely. Now, I do think he has a bit of value in there because he's had that injured game early on. But I just think that, I mean, he's getting older. They've got an early buy. And I also don't know if he and Ash can kind of... I think the chances of them both coexisting in that 100-plus territory is small. And I don't know how much GWS want to play the way that they played in terms of those two just having such a market share of the ball. I think they also... I saw a stat, I think it was from the Draft Doctors, that they were the number 1 team that conceded inside 50s. Now, they're also one of the best team at getting rebound 50s, so it goes in there a lot, but they defended a lot. But I don't know if that's how they want to live.
Look, I mean, I don't think there's too much changing. I heard King has come out and say that that they're pretty much happy with their game style and it'll just be a few tweaks. Like, they've been pretty close to playing in big finals games over the last couple of years. I can see a world where I potentially start with him. I haven't at this stage, but there is a little bit of value there, and because they have the round 4 bye, I think there's kind of like enough water to go under the bridge there that you can see that out. Hopefully, get a little bit of that instant hit at the start of the season. So just one to flag there. If you were happy with Lachie Whitfield at D1, it's not something I would necessarily talk people out of.
Yeah, they got the Bulldogs round 1. Who have they then got? St Kilda. I mean, 2 great matchups. Collingwood. So in terms of runs for defenders, that's pretty fucking good, the first 3. So
he could definitely tempt you with a round 0 score, I reckon.
Yeah. The next guy I've got here is your boy, the Iceberg, Miller Bergman. Miles Bergman, I should say. He's in there, training in the midfield, and I think it makes sense. I think this one actually makes sense because of...
You said it like you were surprised that my pick actually made sense.
No, not your pick, but the fact that they're talking about him playing in the midfield, and I can see this one actually coming to fruition, whereas a lot of times you hear a lot of things being talked about, and it's like, that's never going to happen. I want to try and find the ownership here. I want to find ownership.
This is not the time to just test something.
Yeah, no. Look. So this is the ownership of these players right now. So as of January 22, 17.8% and 17.7% on Colby McKercher and Bergman. I think that's going to rise. I think by the end of the preseason, if what we're predicting is going to happen and they're in the roles we expect them to be in, they'll be over 30%. I think Rosie might be above 30, 35 as well.
There's a theme, mate. I'm just a year early.
You're a year early. A year early. I mean, McKercher was in my side too, so we were both there. Couldn't have been a year early on this guy because he didn't play last year. Nick Newman, he comes in at number D4. I think despite him playing or missing the second game of the season in that early bye, I think it's going to be pretty hard for me to walk away from Nick Newman, assuming he gives us a semi-decent score in opening round.
The trouble with this one is not necessarily the fact that you're going to miss out on potentially 2 price rises, but the issue would be if you missed him after round 2. I think that's the bit that scares me. If something were to happen, you couldn't get on him, and then he goes, on one of those big runs like he did a couple of years ago, you'd be in all sorts. Yeah.
I think just starting with him, because there's also other players on that round 2 by like a Kadeen Coleman and stuff like that I might, or Walsh, that I might want to jump on that round. So if I give myself too much to do in that round, I miss a bit of value. So I think Newman's the one that I probably want to start with out of all of those guys. So he is there at D4. And then I go a couple of rookies. And the couple of rookies I've got on field at the minute, Lindsay. Is it Josh Lindsay? Yeah, Josh Lindsay from the West Coast Eagles. And I have Lachie Carmichael
Oh, that's a good omen, mate.
Yeah, there you go. Carmichael. How do I spell his name? Carmichael. Is it Lockie or Lachlan on here? Lachlan.
Just Car, mate.
It's a full Lachlan.
Type in Car and it'll take you straight there.
Now, I will say off the bat, the rookies are completely relative to what happens in the preseason, the practice matches. But I've heard good things about these guys, both playing in a halfback role in fantasy-friendly teams, or at least the West Coast, not a fantasy-friendly team, but you'd imagine the ball's going to live down there. And then on the bench, I've got Farrow, who is a rookie for Essendon, I believe, and then Fincher, who is someone who I've heard good things about for the St Kilda Saints. But, like I said, Big Finch. Don't know much about them. Obviously, will change if they're not there.
Yeah.
What does your defence look like? How different is it to mine? Is there a structure difference there, or what are your thoughts?
No, it's essentially not different. The thing that I talked about is obviously the Lockie Whitfield thing. That I haven't got that currently in my team. The thing that I've done here, which I want to talk about to like a kind of larger point, is I've put Kitty Coleman in at D5. I'm not going to pick Kitty Coleman to start the season. He's obviously got that early bye, but when I was going through the team and looking at just how it's structured up, I thought maybe the best thing to do at this point in time is put a player in there that's just a little bit higher up in value, more of that like mid-pricer bracket, just so that I've got a little bit of room to move. We've talked about this previously, where when you go to pick your rookies and you go fill your rookies out, don't just go for all the cheapest rookies, because you end up with a team that you absolutely love, and then it'll come to round one and you won't be able to pick that team because you won't have any money. So I don't expect that Kitty Coleman at D5 will start there for me, but it's just a way
I think this would be someone that a lot of people would pick. Like it's a structure I think that a lot of people would like to have. I think there's a lot of strong defensive rookies from what I've heard. Obviously, we'll need to see that. But if it does end up being like what people are saying, I think 2 rookies in defence won't actually be too light on. In years gone past, that has been too much because like the rookies in defence have never really been that good. You get the random year where a Sheasel pops back there, but even he got DPP. He had to move there. Usually the midfielder rookies are where we want them, but we've got a lot of options. Like I see in your team, you've got the Richmond, Sam Grill, Zeke Hewland, who is in my team but not sitting in my defence right now. There's a few other guys there as well. So I think there's a number of players that early stages, I'm okay with having 2 rookies. And I think overall, spoiler alert, I've got 6 rookies. 6 rookies in my side at the moment, which is an extra 2 more than I had last year. Now, mind you, last year I shouldn't have started that with that fewer rookies. I should have started with 5, I think. So it's probably an extra 1 more than I normally would.
And I hope what you're saying is correct, because going Kitty Coleman down to a rookie is going to leave me cashed up to spend that cash elsewhere as well. So just a little thing about fleshing out your team this early. Don't make it all El Cheapos.
Last time I started with a Lindsay, it worked out well for me, so he is there. All right, on to the midfield. Now, I think I have, of the premiums, not the rookies, I think I have 2 midfielders where I feel like something would have to change pretty dramatically for me to not start them. The first of those 2 midfielders to me is Jai Caldwell. He is there at M1 for me. Like I said a couple of podcasts ago, I think he has the chance to be the number 1 scorer in the game, regardless of position. He is a player. Now, actually, there's a really cool bit of info that I got from a member of the keeper league that I'm in. How we talked about players that average high amount of fantasy points compared to their disposal level. We talked about Jordan Dawson being probably one of those guys. Well, he was, in fact, the number 1 guy in the midfielder.
You picked it, mate.
Off the top of my head, picked that one. Number 2 is a player that we're going to talk about in a second, was Jack Steele. But in the top 10 was Jai Caldwell, who 25.9 disposals for 104 fantasy points.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Pretty fucking good. He is someone that fills those stat lines, marks, tackles, gets the disposals, kicks it more than you'd think. And of those players, he's the guy that probably has the lowest amount of CBAs in their team. Outside of Nick Martin, who also was up there, but obviously he's not an option.
If I was to hazard a guess, he's probably on that list, one of the lowest TOG guys as well, which we are hoping improves this year too.
So I think you've got a guy who just has a really solid fantasy game, that we're expecting the role to improve slightly. And when he's priced at 104, yeah, it's not super cheap, but I think that's a captain option, and I think he's going to be a really good pick this year.
Your hot tip was potentially the leading fantasy scorer of the year, wasn't it? You locked that in?
Yeah, well,
it's not a bad pick.
I'd say it's a spicy take. Like, I probably wouldn't draft him there. I think the wise thing would be to say Bailey Smith, Bont, and Dawson are probably ahead of him. But it absolutely wouldn't surprise me if he's in front of those guys at the end of the season. So he's there at number 1. Number 2, at M2, I have, again, another boring pick, I think. Not boring because I love watching him play, but boring because I think he's going to be very highly owned. Zach Butters is there at M2. I'm not saying this is one of the locks.
Okay.
He's there because his fixture's good at the start, and I think he can do a little better. I don't know how much more upside I think I see, though, because I think he's going to continue to grab the tags. My hope is that he works through them better. Instead of scoring a 34 in a tag game, maybe it's a 74.
Yeah, it's hard. He's shown he's susceptible to it. Something that you've talked about wanting to do a little bit differently this year is, obviously you're looking for value, but if you're looking for value over that period of time where you can capitalise, and given he's got a great run to start the year, that could be just enough to get him off to a flyer.
Yeah, he does have Geelong, which was the tag game, I think in round 7, I want to say. So it is in the first half of the year, but those first 5 to 6 games, there's no tag, it's monster. Yeah. So hopefully the average by that point is working out, but I'm not married to it yet. I think I'm probably more likely to start Rosie than I am Butters. But anyway, he sits there right now. Again, more to the fact that I don't love the other options. I'd be looking for an excuse not to pick him, but at the moment he sits there.
Would you consider having Errol with a buy and paying up a little bit more?
That is someone on I've given the little star. He's on my watch list. The thing is, though, like, how much upside does Errol have? Like, he might have 6 or 7 points of upside.
You've only got him for, what, 2 weeks?
You got him for 2 weeks. So, like, how much more upside is that than Butters if Butters is maybe 2 or 3 points?
And has a killer
and
run.
Has an extra week to score more, plus he's got a really good run. I'm weighing that up. I'm still trying to decide that. The next guy... for the video viewers. We're not gonna pause on that. The next guy is the other one who I think is a bit of a lock for me right now, unless something dramatically changes and I see something really different to what I expect, and that's Jack Steele. We said on the podcast when we did the premium mids, you take out those 2 games where he was low tog and it was the sub. He was 106 averaging player. I think it was the 60% CBAs. 106 averaging player last year.
And we talked about the fact that he's gone to Melbourne with that in mind, and they've essentially said to him, yep, you have that role. So if he's fit and healthy, I can't imagine him being a bad pick this year.
Yeah, don't think he's washed at all. I'm not expecting 110, but a 105 from his price point, I'm pretty happy with that. No early buy. I think he's going to be pretty safe in the role.
I'm surprised his percentage ownership isn't higher.
Yeah, I
it's
am
early
too.
days.
It is very early. It's literally been 24 hours since the game opened, so that'll change obviously a lot. This next guy, I think I'm going to think about the most between now and the start of the season. And it's not just him, but it's his team. And that's Caleb Sarong. I have in at M4. I'm finding this debate about market share and game style really fascinating. I'm seeing it a lot on other podcasts, on Twitter, more than I have in previous seasons. I'm finding it hard to go away from a Caleb Sarong price at 92. The fact that Freo last season, in the second half of the year, they went down in fantasy points. They actually were averaging 5 fantasy points more than Richmond over that stretch. And they're a much better side. Like, we're talking 1300s here in total fantasy scoring.
Yeah.
Which is historically a very, very low number. Now, I'm not expecting to go back up to Brisbane territory or anything like that, but I'm just wondering if there's a little bit of positive regression there that could happen. How much do these rules actually help a player like Sarong, where like there'll be maybe a bit more transition scoring available? I'm not sure how much I believe it, but again, it's like, do I want to start him or a Sam Walsh, who's going to miss a game? they actually have a decent run to start the year as well. They start with Geelong, but then they've got Richmond, West Coast, and North, I think, all in their first 6 rounds. So he sits there right now. You don't seem thrilled. He's not in your team, I don't think.
You don't seem thrilled.
No,
you're trying to sell a
either.
narrative that you don't even believe, I don't think. This is a trouble. I think that you're right in saying that there's probably going to be like a balance. They were at one extent, they went to the other, maybe there's a balance.
Somewhere in the middle.
I would be pretty shocked if I saw them go exactly back to where they were previous years.
Yeah, so I'm ruling off the 108, which he did 2 years ago. I don't think he's going to get there. But could he get to 100?
I think you're probably pretty safe in saying that. He's too good a player not to get 100, isn't he? The not having the early buy is obviously very tempting.
It's a factor, yeah.
I will be watching Freo closely in the preseason, put it that way.
Yeah, it's something that I don't know if I'm going to have the balls to come out and say Freo's going to score more than they did last year, because I honestly have no fucking idea. And probably the smart man would say they made finals. I think they looked better when they did that. So why would you go away from that? But at the same time, I don't think it's the only factor. I think if you're like, because he still showed there was games where he had ceiling scores, like 140s, 130s. So maybe if they just beat teams more convincingly, they'll have a bit more chance to do that.
It's interesting. I mean, like on their day, Brayshaw and Sarong are both equally as good players and equally as good fantasy players. Brayshaw averaged 101 in that system. So if Sarong to come out and do that, you'd be happy with that pick. What would you say? Is that 92?
92, I think, is his average.
Brayshaw proved that it can be done in a team that's not scoring heaps, but I don't see them both getting back to the heights that they were 2 or 3 years ago.
And I'm sort of banking on, I think Sarong can come up, maybe Brayshaw drops back a little bit. They do a little bit of, Uno reverse on their scoring compared to each other. But again, it's not a pick that I'm in love with. The next one, talking about not being in love with the pick, Darcy Parish sits in there at M5. We're going to need to see the role, but I think there's a decent chance that he can come in and get 60% CBAs, play 75% TOG, and average between 90 and 100. He's priced in the 70s. I think that's enough at this pick.
Yeah, he's so cheap for a guy that has, I think he's gone 110 before, hasn't he?
Yeah, close to.
3 years ago when we first started this podcast, just about the first thing I said on the podcast was, I want to pick players that I like to watch. And looking at my team, I've got Kitty Coleman, who absolutely burnt me last year. I've selected Darcy Parish. I've got him at a slightly different spot to where you have him. We'll talk about that in a second. And you might also notice...
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. You fucking hate yourself.
Get to that cheeky bugger.
You hate yourself.
So I'm a sucker for punishment here, but Darcy Parish is in my team too.
Yeah, I think he's undeniable value. It's just whether or not how secure we think he is in that side. They lost a lot of points last year with Nick Martin going out. How much do we think Will Setterfield's actually going to play? There's a big market share opportunity there, and I think you should at least be looking at Darcy Parish and assessing whether or not you think he's going to stay in that side.
I said this on the midfield episode that we did a while ago. I said if he's not injured, he's value.
Yeah,
I think that's full stop. And almost even if he's not playing in the perfect position, I think he's still value if he's not injured.
I mean, his points per minute hasn't really actually dropped off. It's just the fact that he's not getting the minutes and he's not getting as much of the role. So I think... Yeah, he's still someone that I think, should consider. Then I've gone rookies again. So Zeke Hewland. At one point, I had Bodie Hewland in there, and I was wondering why I had no cash. But Zeke Hewland is in there. Annabelle, which is 2 N's.
Annabelle Lecter.
And who's the last guy? Sharp is the last one on field. I'm not typing. Sharp from the Essendon Bombers, I believe. And then on the bench... Again, we'll just wait and see. I've got our mate Jagger Smith, who unfortunately did his ACL in the preseason last year. And then, is it Dalton? Yes, Jack Dalton? Yes, Jack Dalton for Hawthorn. Again, don't know a whole lot about these guys. Both 230Ks on the bench, but I do think Jagger Smith he's, you pick him.
Get him in there.
Doesn't matter too much. Jack Dalton maybe is a bit of a stretch. But again, we'll wait and see. Now, your midfield, you said you have Darcy Parish, but he's in a different spot to you.
Yeah,
you don't have Caleb Sarong.
No, so I've got Parish at M4, and then I've got Langford at M5, and then rounded out with the rookies there.
Bit of Langford. So is that maybe the cost of having a Kitty Coleman here at D6, meaning
I think it is
you
potentially
go from Sarong to a Langford?
I'm not as sold on Sarong, but you accurately point out who are you sold on at this point, and I'm not sure. So you're probably right. If Kitty Coleman goes cheaper, then maybe I can extend that midfield out a little bit. But I've heard decent things about Langford. He's just a little expensive for...
Yeah. What's he priced at?
I
I
think
can't remember off the top of my
potentially
head in terms of a priced at figure. I think
low 60s?
657,000. So yeah, he averaged 62 last year. I think so. He played the 10 games. So yeah,
the argument there is, can he get a bit more midfield
So
time?
yeah, you'd want like an 85 sort of average from him there. Now he did a lot of that on the wing and also had a couple of sub games early too. So I definitely think he'll be at least 10 points over. Can he go 25 points more? That's the question. I think is what we're asking. So that's your team. I'll fix that back up so they have the winning team on the thing and not your pile of crap. Just starting out strong. Well, you can't swear during the season, so we'll do it on the podcast. Rucks.
Ooh.
I reckon this is where the teams will make the most difference. There'll be there's so many question marks going into the Rucks. Now, the one player I think has a legitimate upside, so I'm starting at R2, Kieran Briggs. I felt the most confident in saying I'm going to start Kieran Briggs as one of my ruckmen.
Yeah, there's baked in injury value there.
There is. I know he's got the early bye, but it's round 4.
Yeah.
And so far, I don't have any round 4 players. Am I right in saying it's round 4 or is it round 3? I could be.
No, they're the round 4.
Round 4?
Them and St Kilda.
Them and St Kilda. So at the moment, I don't have any of those players there. I will in a sec when we get to the forward line. But I don't think it's too much of an issue. And at least it gives me a bit of a landscape. Like I get a lay of the land with the Rucks. Gives me a bit of time to think, I've got someone here that I think's underpriced. I don't know with all these rule changes if the Rucks are going to be affected, if they are going to be affected, how much are they going to be affected. So
we might even at that point have some cheap ruck forward cover as well, potentially.
I mean, who knows? Like at the moment, I'm pretty sure Tom de Koning is like nursing a bit of an injury. Like if something happens at St Kilda,
cool.
Like what if both those Rucks start sharing?
Yep.
Round 3, one of them goes down. They've lost a lot of price. You pick them up. Like
stocks up.
Stocks up. So now, that's probably a very unlikely scenario, but like you just give yourself the possibility to capitalize on something like that happening by starting with a cheaper ruck. At the moment for my R1, I've gone with Tristan Sherry. Now, it is true that he's probably going to be one of the rucks most affected because he's such a stoppage beast. He gets a lot of his points from stoppage. However, I do think he presents value off last season's anyway because he had those hamstring issues early in the season.
Yeah.
So I do think, all things considered normal, I think he was a bit undervalued. So I think they kind of offset each other, and he might just be what I'm paying for. You know, like 105 averaging ruck.
No buy.
No buy.
That's the big thing, isn't it? It's hard to know because with him, obviously, he had that huge pop season, and now he's had a season that was a little bit lower. What's the average for him?
Yeah.
Is it last season or is it 2 seasons ago? I tend to think that maybe he is just what you pay for him, but like you said, you've got a value ruck there in Briggs, and he doesn't have a buy. That's the thing. You look at any of those other rucks that
you start to think about like the rucks that have a buy. Max Gawn, are we paying 113? I'm definitely not starting Max. I don't think.
No.
Tim English might be a popular name because we think, okay, he's going to be the guy that maybe benefits with this rule. He's a good transition scorer. He scores a little bit more like a midfielder. He's priced 111, bro. Like, are we really going to go out and pay 111 for a ruckman that's got an early buy? I don't know. Brodie Grundy's the other one. Like you can went 120 like after round 9 or something like that. I think he's probably the one.
Yeah, I think you can make the case here. It's just the early buy that kills you.
It is the early buy. Who does he start with? He starts with Brisbane. Not the best.
Not awesome.
Although new ruck, so new data to go off.
The Dragons.
Hawthorn are okay. This is a good matchup, obviously West Coast, but then tough matchup against Gold Coast. Then it easy, tough. So it's middle of the pack. I don't think it's not going to push you one way or the other. Darcy Cameron, probably not going to go there. And then you're getting down, like Marshall, you got to take off the board. So it's really Grundy or Sherry. Do you want to go with the upside? You can spin the narrative with Grundy, cop the buy, or go Sherry, don't cop the buy. I don't know. It's a hard one. Or do you want to go right down it? Go fucking Nank or Luke Jackson in your ruck. And they're probably not top tier ruckmen, are they?
No, they're not. I'd almost prefer to cop the buy and get Grundy. I think your Sherry play is not too bad. It's safe. I want to know if you're shooting yourself in the foot this year. Are you starting a red dot at R3?
Oh, I am. I'm 100%. It's not going to be a red dot, though. It's going to be a white dot.
Oh, white dot.
It's going to be Kalani White. Step on in.
It's 2026, mate. Can't be pulling that white shit.
There's not that many ruck forwards that are based on price. There's like 2 of them are on the same team, I want to say. But at the moment, I've got him. I haven't gone ahead yet and looked at the schedule, who plays the most late games or anything like that. But Kalani White, 18-year-old, Melbourne. I'm sorry, mate. You're not playing ahead of Max Gawn, so you are a nice, safe red dot for me there. Who have you got in your rucks? I can see one.
Yeah, I've decided on a little bit of a silent protest here because...
You do this every year. I swear there's always something every year.
Because there's always something to protest about. Give me some good players to pick from. I couldn't pick an R1. I mean, I saw that you had Sherry there. I've got 1.2 million.
Yeah, I was going to say, can you afford? Yeah,
I can afford anyone.
I wasn't sure if you were doing the whole, spread the rest out.
No, it wouldn't be good for my protest, mate. So I do have 1.2 million in the bank. I don't have some stacked team, but currently R1, nobody's putting their hand up for me.
No one's putting their hand up.
I need to see more effort on the track.
Do you like the idea of like a Grundy or something like that? Like if you had to?
He was in there for a little bit.
Okay.
But why am I picking a guy priced at 107 that has a buy in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Why would I?
It goes against everything we say to do.
Why?
Yeah.
I'm
like,
thinking
and the
about
upside on what he did is probably going to be eaten away by what we're expected to see, some reduced stoppages or different changes in the game.
Maybe. He's a beast. But, man, I think I'm just going to show up after round 0 next year because that's when all the big decisions are going to be made.
The other thing with Grundy, why was he so fucking good last year? He's good, but
it's not like he's capable of...
I know, but the year before he was at Sydney and he was much worse than this, and Sydney were better that year. Last year, Sydney were not good, and Grundy was good
this year as well.
So why are we guaranteeing that he's going to just pick up at that 120? I really struggle to say that with a lot of confidence. Yeah?
Yeah, it's a fair point, but I mean, as an AFL player, you've just had a monstrous season. Surely you're coming out and just going, I'm just going to keep that up. But yeah, you're right.
I know. I just don't think we shouldn't just go, yeah, he did like that for the back half of the year. He's going to pick up and do the same thing this year. I think there's reasonable things to think like, okay, maybe it's more the year before or somewhere in the middle. Yeah, that's just my thing.
We're going to have a lot of trouble doing our Ruck podcast next week, aren't we? There's not going to be much to talk about.
It's tough. I think we're in a case where we've got to pick the Ruck that's going to lose the least amount of value, rather than trying to pick the one with the most amount of upside. It's a kind of a different way of thinking, but at the end of the day, that's what we've got to do. The forward line is going to be just as shit because there is one player. I'm not going to start at F1. I'm going to start at F3 because this man should be in 100% of teams, in my opinion.
What's his ownership currently?
Ownership is 26.8%. So apparently that's the only amount of people that have logged in and made a team so far. The rest are auto-filled. This man, we've seen him score in a midfield role. We've seen him score in a half-back role. As long as he's not stuck in the forward line, and I have no idea why he would go to this team if he was, he's this year's Bailey Smith. And I don't care he's got a bye. We saw Bailey Smith had a bye last year, missed games early, and people traded him out and they regretted it.
They did, yes.
Did you do that?
No, I traded him late.
Okay.
They haven't upgraded Flanders' photo.
Yeah, has he still got the blonde hair?
I hope not.
I feel like there was talk about him going back to a normal coloured hair. But he is the only guy in my entire forward line that I feel confident in.
Convinced
the other
on.
5 spots, we're going to have tryouts. I really hate my forward line. And
tell me what it is, mate, before you tell me how much you hate it.
I've been running my mouth about, Sheasel and this sort of stuff. He's sitting there right now for F1 for me.
That's rich.
It's not something I'd normally do. I don't like paying 110 because there's really not much upside for most players. Now, Sheasel's maybe a bit of a special case. I hope he plays more midfield time. He has scored better than this in a midfield role or a halfback role. But it's still typically not something I do. But that's when I have other options that I like.
Yeah.
I don't like the other options.
It's so bleak.
The hardest thing about the forward line is not only, every year the forward line, they take all the midfielders out from last year. We lose them all. The top of the line's always crap. But there's usually some role changes or something we saw. It's the value options this year that I don't like. So much so that I've got another player in here at F2. I don't think he's got that much side either. But I think he's going to be top 6 forward, and I like the start of his draw. I've got Christian Petrarca at F2.
Yeah, I think when there's kind of nowhere else to go, it doesn't seem like too bad a pick. He's obviously going to a new club. He's hopefully going to be happy up there. I have spoken about the fact that I just don't think that his role at the Gold Coast is necessarily going to be I think it's going to be all about winning. I don't think it's going to be a fruitful fantasy role. But you're right in saying when there's no other options to pick, maybe there's enough that you can kind of lean to that convinces.
I mean, but just look at the top of the forward line here. Out for the season. Brian Myers is a forward, and he's got an early bye. Keziah Pickett, he's maybe the one. And we haven't talked about the forwards yet, but he was already in there a lot last year as a midfielder.
I think he's fairly priced.
He's probably fairly priced, but at least he doesn't have a bye, so he's maybe an option, and we'll talk about that. Rankin's suspended, can't start him. Yeah. Sean Manor, same as Brian Myers. Funny thing about Sean Manor, we talked about Caldwell before on that fantasy points per disposal.
He's up there.
He was way up there too.
Yeah.
So if we got a hint that he was getting some midfield time, consider him. But they've just recruited Warple. You've got Bailey Smith. You've got Holmes. I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
Zach Bailey had a career high year, early bye. Phil Thorpe, key ruck. And now we're getting into key position players. So you're no longer looking at actual premiums here. So there's fuck all options.
It definitely feels that way. I don't know if this is a bit of a lazy way to go about it, but I'm just hoping that as we get some practice games and the Amy series going, we get some people that put their hands up. Is there, your structure's always going to be dictated by the rookies. We talk about that every year, don't we? So are we potentially hoping to go a little bit deeper with our rookies in the forward line as well?
Early on, I think I'm going to be starting more rookies than I would most year. I think I'm going to be going a bit more of a guns and rooks strategy.
Okay.
Not because that's what I want to do. It's because if the mid prices are not there to be picked, I don't want to pick them. Just to do the same thing. And I just don't know if there's that much value overall this year early on. Now, obviously, a lot can change and we will see some more roles. And the next pick I have is one of those sort of, I've heard some rumblings. I've seen some things on the Twitter sphere. And it's a guy that I've always said, if he gets this role, he's in my team. And it's Connor McDonald.
I thought you'd heard some rumblings and this guy was going to show up.
We'll get. I've got him. He's just in the next spot.
Some tummy rumblings.
Yeah. For you, maybe. But Connor McDonald is at F4 for me. On Twitter today, David King. We love Kingy. He gets around to the preseason practice matches.
Okay, what's he had to say?
He said, looks good in the midfield as a Will Day replacement.
Oh, okay. You've been waiting for this.
I have been waiting for this. And if this happens, I'm 100% going there because this guy can score. We used to see more of these, I feel. The year Christian Petrarca broke out, the year Connor Rosie broke out, the year Errol Goulden broke out. They were all guys who were forward/wings that did their time in the forward line, had great junior numbers, and when they went in there, tore it up. I think Bailey Smith was one of those options, early in his career.
Yeah.
So just because we didn't see any of it last year, if it happens and it looks like it's real, I think I'm going to launch. But again, I've got 3 players here that have an early buy in my forward line, and the fourth guy, F5, is going to be another one. So that's what I'm struggling with right now.
Yeah, it definitely leaves your light on. I love the idea of Connor McDonald going into the midfield. I like that idea of players graduating. Did you say Rory Laird? Because he was another one of those guys as well, wasn't he?
Yeah. He started off as a defender, but when we saw that shift.
Moving to the midfield. Hawthorn as well, you think about, you've got Dylan Moore, you've also got McDonald, and to an extent, you've got the Wiz. who kind of all play that small forward role. So it's not like him coming out of that forward role.
There's other players that can,
leaves them completely void of options.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, they've got Ginnivan, they've got Watson. Even Watson's been sort of, some people reckon he's going to go into the midfield.
Pinch hitter, maybe.
Maybe. But Connor McDonald, to me, is the guy that's the most different from all of those other players. And as from a fantasy perspective, he's the guy we want in there.
Yeah, right.
Like I said, another early season buy here, and this is your mate.
Tummy rumblings.
Mateus Philippou. He fills in at F5. It's just hoping he's healthy, hoping he gets the midfield time. I've lowered my expectation than they were 12 months ago because I think St Kilda, with a lot of their moves in the off-season, like they're trying to make the finals. Like I don't know, they've gone out and spent a lot of money. They've got rid of Jack Steele, but they've recruited Flanders, they've recruited Tom de Koning.
I'd be more bullish on the Philippou pick, I think, if Flanders wasn't an off-season recruit. It's weird. We fully expected after what he did at the end of 2024 to see him go into that role in 2025, and it's we all know the story of how that went. So, he's currently at the Ox shits as well, but I'm doing everything I can to clear him out of my system.
12 months ago, I was much more excited, but it's just, I think lots happened and kind of moved past that. I'm more doubtful now, but the fact remains, if he is in the midfield, I think he can do good, and of the options, he's someone that gives me a little bit of upside there. So, and then
just rookies to round it out.
The rookies to round it out. Now, the other thing is, again, from what I understand, there's not too many forward rookies, but we can obviously we'll get some more information. I've got Lockie Doverston from Kangaroos in there. Again, I think he's just supposed to be a good small forward, so maybe not a huge scorer, but North Melbourne. Hopefully there's a bit of job security there. I got Sharp from Melbourne. He had something like 11 substitute games last year with a few of their losses. I'm hoping he can not be the sub as much this year around, going a bit more of a rebuild direction. Then I've got Draper, similar sort of a reason. No Matt Crouch. Another year in the system, maybe he bumps out a Berry or something like that. He can stay in there. You've got injuries to Dan Curtin. Might open up a spot for him. He is a player that had good junior scoring, so he's there at 307,000. And in my utility, I have Devon Robertson there as well. So just, again, I from what I heard, apparently he's not training the house down, so might need to find another player there. And that doesn't have to be a forward, but I was just kind of throwing stuff against the wall, and I've got 59k left over. So that's the team.
That's the Hilux winning team, you reckon?
Yeah, that's the winning team. Your forward line, you don't have a McDonald.
I don't have McDonald, so I just go one extra on the rookies. What's the go with Reedy at Carlton? Because I thought he was
Liam Reedy,
getting a little bit of a rook time.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely someone to monitor. He's, what is he,
a bit more expensive,
309?
390
odd. So Ruck forward could be an option if he plays. I don't think he's going to be a sole Ruck, but at 304 he doesn't need to be a sole Ruck.
394.
Oh, 394.
Yeah,
okay, sorry. Jeez, need glasses like you.
What about if he was playing some flexibility with the brick situation? But it's super interesting because normally, and like I said, I'm normally excited to go through this process to start, and of course I was. I'm hamming it up a little bit, but by the end of it, I felt more tired than energized by it, because it just felt like there's enough lines where you've got a bit of a headache.
It feels hard this year. I don't know. Like I said at the start, I feel like I'm trying to fill the team up, then chop things down. What did I say?
Yeah. You just said it felt hard.
Yeah. Well, Wayne's not in my side yet, so
get your hand off it and do the trick.
But that's the squad. Let us know down in the comments how you guys are going. If you are experiencing the same thing that we are, that you are hating your team already and the season hasn't even started.
It's a good spot to be in.
I'm hoping the preseason, the practice matches, the Amy series, and then finally the opening round will give us some more options. I think opening round is going to be absolutely fascinating this year when it comes to throwing difficult questions our way with good scoring from players we don't want, bad scoring from players that we did want. I'm sure that's all going to happen. And once we get into the season, the rookie situation, how much are they going to use this 5-man bench? Like, have you seen the quote from I don't know if it was coaches, but
I know what you're talking
anonymous coaches saying that they're going to use the 5th player as a pseudo sub. Have you seen that?
I did see that.
These fucking coaches,
outrageous.
Man. You
Absolutely
cry
outrageous.
and cry about trying to get rid of the sub, and now you're going to make it a sub of your own. Anyway.
Anything to fuck the fantasy coaches.
Anything to fuck fantasy coaches. So that is the podcast today, guys. Like I said, let us know down in the comments below what your team is looking like. Do you like our team? Do you want to throw up in your mouth looking at our squad?
I'm going to hold you to vice captain on Colby McKercher as well.
Vice captain, yeah. Well,
I'll hold you to that
didn't
round
adjust
one.
that. Yeah, well, he'll go good. Who do they play round 1? Port Adelaide?
Gotta be good.
It's all good. They're not tough. They've never been tough at all. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, wherever you listen to, and we will be back next week for forwards and rucks, the ones that we can't wait to sink our teeth into. Until then, bye!